I made a similar video the other night, but I want to reapproach it. And it's the topic of feedback. And I think that this is the number one most important thing and most prevalent thing in a lot of successful people and high achievers. And it's basically just everywhere in their life, they apply feedback and iteration. So, for example, if they go to the gym and they do a certain thing and they hurt themselves, they write it down, they remember it, and they don't do it again. It's kind of like how people say the faster you fail, the faster you become successful. Failing is feedback, which allows you to iterate and learn what works and what doesn't. And most people are not introspective enough, they don't pay enough attention to learn to collect feedback and iterate. So, a good example is today I went to the gym and I was enjoying the workout, but I was also keeping in mind like what felt good, how much weight I lifted, what I preferred, what exercises to do, etc. And then when I got home, I logged it all with my own preferences and everything. And this is in parallel with AI because in the current AI era, that's what's becoming so popular. It's the fact that AI can learn and iterate upon itself and it gets better and better over time. But we do the same. The principle of feedback is what's more important in that most people do the same thing for the rest of their lives, never question what they do, and it's no wonder they don't get anywhere. Is because if you keep doing the same things, you'll stay in the same spot. And the only way to do different things is to change your actions, and the only way to know which actions to change is to have some form of feedback. And so the best example I can give is go do something. Pay attention to what you like, what you don't like, what works, and what doesn't work. Write it down and then remember it or bring that journal or something with you in the future. So over time, it's kind of the same thing as if you go to the gym and you write down the amount of weight that you lifted. Then the next week, you know how much weight you lifted the previous week, you can up it this week and then progressively overload over time. But if you don't ever pay attention to how much weight you lift, you just lift what feels good, then you're probably not going to progress as much because you're not organized. And that's kind of what goes hand in hand with feedback is organization. If you don't organize things well, then you're never going to be able to remember the feedback because our brains are a bit flawed and it's very hard to remember certain things, which is where software came in as a whole. And it's basically software removes friction. It helps us remember feedback better. The Notes app, you can write it down. You don't ever have to remember it anymore. AI, it feeds back upon itself. It can do things for you. You don't have to do it and record feedback. It does it. Um, but there's nothing really else to explain. It's you need to learn to pay attention and be conscious. And that is the number one thing that I've seen make the most difference in my daily schedule, my habit, my life in general, is paying attention to the things I do and observing and learning and iterating. If I took a certain path or a certain route to get to a certain location and I hit more traffic, I'll next time I drive, I will try a different route and I'll see which one's faster and then I'll start taking that route. And I'll test it at different times to see which route's better at which time. And it's optimization at its core. Is you don't people don't think about it, so they never do it. But if you're constantly thinking about efficiency or preference, eventually you will iterate. Every time I go to the gym, I keep in mind, okay, this is my form is bad. This helped my form. Okay, do that more in the future. Feedback, boom. And if you keep doing this, this is a feedback loop, and this is how you get better and better and better. So, I don't know. For example, you notice that you can't meal prep food because you burn out really quickly. So, you know that you still need to meal prep in some way. So, you try splitting it to twice in a week. That doesn't work. Okay, failure. You now have feedback. Well, now you notice when you cook, if you just cook extra, you can actually stick to it. Okay, that works for you. Remember it for the future. People don't learn, they don't remember, they don't get the feedback. They'll keep doing the same thing over and over again and not even realize that the reason they're burning out is because of this X thing. If you can't stay consistent in the gym, it's probably for a reason. Like maybe it's every time you go to do leg day, you hate it, so you skip leg day, and then because you skipped one day, you keep skipping days, and then you're inconsistent. Well, the key is to paying attention to that feeling, to that action. If you realize that every time it's because you have leg day and you want to skip it, then either remove leg day, make that a rest day, or change it so that you like it, right? And it's just learning to pay attention to yourself and your preferences and the things that you do constantly and then constantly changing it to either make it better or more preferable. And this is how you literally become Like if you know the difference between like a a regular straight curve and an exponential curve. Like slope 3x is just like this. But if you have 3 to the x, it's like this, right? Anytime you have feedback, it is exponential. And so that's how people become so successful, is because over time they learn. And when they learn, they iterate and become more efficient. They become better. And most people never take the time to reflect enough to learn. So that's it. So I'll talk to you tomorrow, and hopefully you can apply this. It's incredibly important. And the only way that I've figured out how to be able to just be more conscious and know the stuff is by intentionally practicing it. Is to literally stop and be like, hey, I need to reflect on this. Write it down. Hey, reflect on what I did today and see how I could do better. And eventually it'll be at the top of your mind all day, like it is with mine now, and you will constantly be doing it. And that's how you win.